And with that, welcome into a special edition of KC Sports Night that I'm fired up for. Why is it special? Because it's the first time on this platform I get to talk to one of my favorite people, Greg Dailey, in the house here. And Greg, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Chiefs, Royals, and Mizzou. You're looking at two Mizzou grads right here, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But, Greg, thanks for hanging out on a day where, boy, the city is excited for Chiefs football less than about 24 hours from now.
Absolutely. One of the most wonderful times of the year. I mean, in our lifetimes alone, Jared, the Royals in the playoff hunt, Missouri, top 10 team, the other local schools ranked in the top 25, and the Chiefs coming off 2 Super Bowl wins. Come on.
No, it's surreal. I mean, I did a package where I kind of wrote about the surrealness of it. You can disagree. I never even dreamed of this. Like, my dream was win a couple playoff games, maybe play in a Super Bowl, but a dynasty, not just an NFL dynasty, like a sports dynasty right now where Kansas City is good across the board. Young Jared was more than I ever dreamed of.
And arguably 2 of the best athletes in American sports in our hometown. What a time to be alive for a Kansas City sports fan. You got to soak it in. It's been a long time, but we deserve this, don't we?
We do. Yes, we do. And that's a cool evolution of sports. I think, for many times it was always New York, LA getting the stars, but now, for Kansas City to have 2 of the top stars in the NFL.
Locked up, too.
Yeah, with Mahomes and Kelsey, but then Bobby Wood Jr., who you were alluding to, shows commitment by the Royals. But also I think Kansas City's rise in that, that's an interesting question that I've never really thought of. If Patrick Mahomes was not, if the Chiefs were just, a meddling team, would Bobby Wood Jr. still sign in Kansas City? I think so. But I think the Chiefs have helped raise the profile of Kansas City even more. That makes it even more appealing for Witt to sign in Kansas City, right? I kind of just thought of that. Is that a crazy thing to say?
Absolutely. You just look at the growth of this town from the second Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to come to Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the free agents that have chosen to come here. Kansas City wasn't a destination city, especially for baseball. And you look at who they added in the offseason, and then, of course, the Chiefs have some of the top stars, not only in football, but, pop culture even, with, Kelsey, obviously. But, heck, even, Mahomes has done his fair share of being on every other commercial, and Chris Jones is like our local celebrity. Since 2018, this town has just taken off from a sports perspective.
Well, and I'll even go back further from 2014. I think the Royals didn't have the national. That's the cool thing about the Chiefs is that, Kansas City's consistently in the national spotlight, whereas those Royals teams were in the spotlight at the end of October, But it wasn't. But baseball doesn't have that year-round relevance that the Chiefs do, and so that's where I think those 2014 and 15 really lit a spark of sports love in this town. But I think the 2018-19 Chiefs took it from love in Kansas City to global relevance, which is really cool. And it all starts tomorrow, which is why today is a Red Wednesday. Normally there's Red Fridays, but Greg, when you kick off on Thursday, how excited are you to have the NFL season opener at Arrowhead? It's something we've now gotten used to. It started back when the Chiefs opened up the NFL season at Foxborough. On the Patriots for tonight when Alex Smith
is coming out party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kareem is a rookie, and Alex Smith played really well that game through the deep ball, and they beat him. And since then, we've had a couple openers against the Texans last year, against the Lions. How cool is it to have this stage?
Yeah, I mean, we always used to, right? You brought up the Patriots. We always used to see, opening night in Foxborough, and they wheel out all those giant inflatable Lombardis. Here we go again. Well, it's been the Chiefs the last couple of years, and we get to see the Chiefs being the big bad wolf again. The Lions came and upset them last year. It was a close game. A lot of players, I think, and coaches will tell you that they like to get past that opening night because of all the pomp and circumstance of the pregame ceremonies and the unveiling of the banner and things like that. They truly would like to move on to this year, but it'll be a great reminder of last year, and what a team, what a defense, a bunch of kind of no-name wide receivers and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, taking this team all the way on the road to a Super Bowl title, and they get to relive that kind of one last time, and then it's on to 2024.
Well, and it's fitting that it comes against the team who they beat in the AFC Championship game. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I tend to like it because I think the Chiefs have traditionally been so great in season openers under Andy Reid and with Patrick Mahomes, with the exception being, of course, last year where they didn't have Travis Kelce, didn't have Chris Jones, and Kadarius Toney was pretty much wearing a Detroit Lions uniform. So when you – assuming that is the exception, I expect the Chiefs to play really well in week one like they did, against the Cardinals, against the Texans, against the Chargers, you name it. And so I like having a little bit tougher of an opponent because I think they're better equipped to win week one than they maybe would be in week 7, week 8, just because of that amount of prep time. I think you could argue, obviously, the Hollywood Brown injury isn't ideal, but I still like getting a headlining opponent. Like, Greg, it's the season opener, but this is also one of the biggest games of the regular season, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there will be I'm sure the coach has got the players' attention all week and last week. This will have implications in the playoff race. The tiebreaker for this game could decide the 1 seed. And obviously, they were the final 2 teams in the AFC last year. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, the Hollywood Brown injury is unfortunate. I think players have that game circled of when they get to play against a former team, and he won't get to do that this year. But it's not like they don't have new players that Baltimore has to plan for. Obviously the Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy. They bring in Juju Smith-Schuster. We get another year of Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, obviously. Yep. The offensive
Jared Wiley at tight end might get some,
and
Samaje Perine, who they just signed as a running back.
Yeah, so I would look for the Chiefs to be relatively similar to their offense last year and still get as the new guys still get familiar with the playbook, especially because Smith-Schuster and Perine just joined the team in the last couple weeks. But Andy Reid with time to prepare for a team that's longer than a week, that speaks for itself, whether it's a season opener or a bye week.
Right. It's not a guaranteed win, as we saw, but history is on your favor, and that's why I ask, what do you make of that 3-point line? Do you think it's right on? Do you think it's, where do you stand on that opening?
Yeah, I'm no gambling expert, but if it's a 3-point line, I mean, you like the Chiefs' chances with, with Harrison Butker. Obviously, the Ravens have a pretty good one in Justin Tucker.
It's true. It's a good kicking match. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned with the close line, I mean, again, I'm not going to give gambling advice, but I'll say that generally the lines are probably more conservative at the beginning of the year because the odds makers don't really know what teams are going to look like. I will say the Chiefs playing Derrick Henry at the beginning of the year, that will be tougher because he won't be as worn down. He's legitimate. He's older, obviously, but the fact that he's now running with Lamar Jackson, their running defense will be tested, and we'll see right away if they're up for the challenge. They do lose, L'Jarius Sneed, who was known for coming up and making plays on the line of scrimmage, so that will be tested early. And Chris Jones, he did not practice much in training camp. He didn't play a single snap in preseason.
Yeah. Well, he didn't last year either.
He didn't last year either, and he didn't play in the first game. It should be fun.
and I should say here at Case 5, we do not offer gambling advice. Part of the reason why I bring it up is because I found it a little interesting because home field normally is 3 points. So in the eyes of the experts, they view this as essentially a pick-em 50-50 coin toss of a game.
Yeah.
And that surprised me because I think the AFC Championship game, I didn't feel like the Chiefs were ever really in doubt of losing that. Now, part of that is because they had that great goal line phone. I'd probably feel different if L'Jarius Sneed doesn't knock the ball out of Zay Flowers. But once they – even that would have tied it, and I had confidence that Mahomes would go down the field and score. They had the clinching ball to MVS. I know Jackson had that turnover, that awful interception. But just when push comes to shove, I just don't know if Lamar Jackson can beat Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And when you factor in it's at Arrowhead – the Chiefs are healthy with outside of Hollywood Brown. I thought it'd be a little bit more, and so that makes me go, okay, maybe are we underrating the Hollywood Brown injury in that, all right, they're going to be relying a lot on Xavier Worthy, or are we underrating the turnover on defense in that it's a secondary that has Trent McDuffie and Justin Reed, but after that there's some question marks. It kind of made me pause because if I were to pick what do I think the Chiefs are going to win by, I'd probably put it at like 5, 6. So the fact that it's 3, I go, okay, maybe as you said, Ravens are better than I'd given credit with Derrick Henry. There's a lot of factors here.
A couple storylines that I'll be really interested to see how they turn out is how the Chiefs replace Willie Gay. He was also...
It's a mobile quarterback, so...
Right, and Willie Gay, very physical, very quick. We'll see how they can replace that. And also the new kickoff rules. You got two of the better special teams coaches in the NFL. Dave Toub with the Chiefs, his record speaks for itself. And then the Ravens coach, John Harbaugh, he was the special teams coach before he became a head coach. Yeah. And the Ravens...
With Andy Reid.
And the Ravens are known for having solid special teams units. With the new rules... this is the first time we really get to see it play with the ones, so to speak, for both teams, and that could play a huge role to see who can kind of figure out the advantages
or not make the mistake. That's almost even. Yeah. I feel like
who can make a fair catch and not drop it.
Right, or on the kickoff not fumble or have a boneheaded penalty that sets you back 15 yards, or let up a big return. It's like if you told me they walk out of this game special teams 50-50, I would take that. I just don't want to, don't lose any ground because of special teams, right?
Right.
Maybe that's conservative. Either way, Greg, I'm excited. Obviously, it's a rematch of the AFC Championship game. That was 17-10. It wasn't a blowout. The Ravens do have a regular season victory over the Chiefs. The Chiefs overall have done pretty well against the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. But it's a game that two of the top two AFC in the betting odds, the top two favorites to get back to the AFC Championship game. So two contenders, and then they get the Bengals next week, so they're thrown right into the fire. Mahomes and Jackson have won 4 of the last 6 NFL MVPs, with Aaron Rodgers winning the other ones, and boy, they're not easing. We're not wading into the NFL season. It's going to hit us in the mouth tomorrow, and here at KC25 we'll have full coverage and more on that coming up. But we don't want to mention the Royals because, Greg, the excitement around the Royals is nowhere near where it was at this time a week ago. Let's see, at this time a week ago, we were just coming off a game where the Royals were 9 outs away from moving into first place in the Central. They were up 5-2 in Cleveland. And since then, they've not won a game. And so the excitement is more in the Chiefs' favor right now. But somehow, the Royals still have a 4.5-game lead for that last wildcard spot. Where do you kind of stand on the state of the Royals, given the overall great season, but the bad 7-game stretch, but also the prospects of what's in front of them?
Yeah, it's been a brutal last week and change, right? You got to think that they'll still make the playoffs. The thing, even with this losing streak, their starting pitching's still been really solid.
Yeah,
and
against good teams,
and it has been the whole year. The bullpen's been terrible, which we had.
It has been all year.
We had kind of figured, if and when they get knocked out of the postseason, it'll be because of the bullpen.
Right.
However, the offense has just gone so cold. 2 homers and the last 100+ at bats is just an incredible stat.
Yeah.
They have to salvage a game here. I would only count on Boston losing so many games. I would count on that streak to end at some point. The Royals have been very fortunate that the teams behind them in the wild card race keep losing. At some point, that's going to stop. But hey, you get another opportunity against Cleveland, a team that you still have the season series over, and then you get a chance to go head-to-head with the Twins, who they haven't been good against. But as we've seen with the Royals and the Guardians,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's a must-win, just because when there's this few games left in the season and you have this kind of lead, it's not like if they don't win, then they still have a margin for error. But just for the psyche of the team to go into an off day, to go into a series against Minnesota back at home, an 8-game losing streak is not. It's not insurmountable. Both the Diamondbacks and Rangers, who made it to the World Series last year, both had 7-game losing streaks. So this, by no means, this isn't the death sentence that I think a lot of Royals fans think it is. But just from a
morale.
Exactly. From
for the fan
confidence.
base.
Well, for the fan. I think that might already it'll take maybe a 5-game win streak to get the fan confidence back. But yeah, just for the team, I think they say all the right things and taking it just one day at a time. But you'd like to get a little confidence. You got Seth Lugo going, who looked really, really good against the Astros and didn't get the winning effort, as a lot of pitchers did. And so that's where I think there's reason to hope, in that they aren't getting crushed maybe because their pitching has been well. They just haven't hit. But if they can just hit a little bit, a lot of these games have been winnable. I think the division is gone. Even if they win tonight, the Guardians do have the Dodgers this coming weekend, but they also have 3 more games against the White Sox. So it's like that's kind of a wash. And I just
also can we just take a moment and appreciate that the Royals, even in their 100 lost seasons of the mid 2000s and recently, were never as bad as the White Sox are right now. I mean.
No, it's not. They're on like an 11-game losing streak, but over like their last 50 games, they've won what, 5 times?
5 times. That is awful.
I do feel bad for those guys. I can't imagine running out there every day.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was the Royals glasses that I was wearing, but I didn't think the Royals last year. I thought they were competitive a lot of times. They just lost close games and blew games late when they lost 106.
Well, that does happen to bad teams.
That's true, but Greg, this White Sox team loses every game like 7-1. Like, I don't see very many. I think it's a different level of bad.
Yeah.
Which was your point, saying, hey, they were never this bad. It's interesting when you say that, as far as the bullpen will be the downfall of this team, which I agree, and I've been saying that. But like, the Yankees have the most blown saves in baseball. Clay Holmes is an abject disaster, and they keep running him out there. Like, that's what I don't know if partly because a lot of people think through the Chiefs lens and they look at, okay, how good is our team? This Royals team has flaws, but like in the American League, I mean, we saw the Guardians, they have flaws. Their starting pitching is not that reliable. The Twins, against every other team, not named the Royals, has had its struggles. The Orioles have not really taken off. Their lineup's still really good, but their pitching isn't great. I mean, like, there's flaws, and that's where I still think there's a world in which the Royals could surprise people in the postseason compared to where they're at because now
because your bullpen does get trimmed down,
right?
Because you start using your starting pitching, and then your relievers who haven't been good don't pitch at all.
They're lower scoring games, so you don't need to score 6 runs. Like, you can win 3-2, 2-1, 4. You're not looking for the offense to be like it was a couple weeks ago. Not saying this in that I think the Royals are going to make a deep run. I just think right now the idea that, even if they squeak into the playoffs, they have no chance to win a series. I can't go that far given how the baseball playoffs are so fluky and random. But listen, that's a positive spin. Greg, make no mistake. I know I'm Captain Optimism over here. The Royals have been awful for the last week, so they've been really bad, and I don't have much confidence that they can hit without Vinny Pasquantino now. So I'm giving you both sides there because I think both can be true. No,
absolutely.
Okay.
And honestly, you're as good as your next day starting pitcher. That's the old adage.
Yeah.
And the Royals get a win today, heading into a big series with Minnesota. The vibes are different.
Yeah. Well, like I said, look how quickly the vibes were immaculate a week ago. I mean, they won 3 out of 4 against Cleveland, or had won 3 straight against Cleveland in first place. Boston falling, Salvi had the, grand slam, the multi-home run game, and then it just
one play, Jared Koller, one play.
Yeah. And I that brings us in transition. I was not watching that live because I was at the Mizzou game. And I didn't realize how much of a gut punch that was at the time.
Yeah.
And now history shows that, that was a gut punch. So thankfully, though, I had a very dominant Mizzou win to help bring the positive vibes on the way home. And Greg, that's what it was, talking Mizzou football here. Your overall impressions from your first look at the 2024 Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, so, context for everything. It's Murray State, right?
Yeah.
But anytime you can hold a college football team to under 100 yards of total offense, you did your job.
Yeah. First shutout since 2020 for the program.
What impressed me the most about last Thursday night was this is the first year that I think across the board Missouri looks like it's an SEC team. I remember, those first few years, even when Missouri was good, 2013, 2014 teams went to the SEC title game. They still didn't look the part, right? They were still smaller. They do not look like that this year. They look every bit of an SEC team that can compete and make a deep run. Their offensive line is huge.
Yeah.
Their running backs look really good. Obviously, we know about their receivers. Brady Cook's a solid quarterback returning. He had an okay game. He didn't need to be good against Murray State.
It was over after. It was 10
over
minutes,
after.
so.
Right. It was over early. But I think the storyline's got to be the defense, replacing so many players that went into the NFL, and then a defensive coordinator. It's a relatively new defense and a new look, and they were just all over the field. So obviously
they were fast.
Right. Step up in competition this next weekend with Buffalo. Not a Power 4. What do they say? Power 4 school now.
Right.
Not a big time program, but a MAC school.
Might have a few Lance Leipold players left over in their fifth year, right?
They could,
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Missouri has played against their quarterback before.
Oh, SMU was it? Or
SEMO.
SEMO, okay.
He quarterbacked at SEMO in 2020, I believe. Maybe 2019. I can't remember. Obviously, it's so long ago.
Yeah. No, I mean it's another chance to go out there and insert your dominance, especially now. The schedule doesn't look as tasty after, like Vanderbilt and Boston College look a little bit better than maybe what they thought. Mizzou still should win those games, but
I saw one metric that the strength of schedule for their remaining opponents is in the top 20 in the country, top 20 toughest. Right. And we had heard, Missouri's strength of schedule is not, they're going to cakewalk into the playoff. Well, it's a little more difficult than we thought it was going to be.
Still winnable, but that's where, not knowing what's ahead, you want to take advantage of the games that shouldn't be close. If you can have another game where, all right, you can rest your guys after half and not risk injury, get your reps in, and I think that'd be a win. You continue to play games with that margin for error where you can work on the deep balls, you can work on some plays in a game-like setting without the pressure that comes with it. You got a true freshman kicker out there. You want to keep him getting that experience without a game in the line that maybe he'll run into sooner than we thought. It comes and goes. A&M loses their first games. Who knows what to make of them come when the Tigers go to College Station. But, no, I agree. I think they look strong in that offensive line with a couple Kansas City natives. You love to see that. Easy to root for out of Lee Summit North and Armand Mimbo and Caden Green. My biggest takeaway was that two-headed running back tandem, in that I knew about them, but I didn't, until you see them, you never really know how it translates, and I thought they both looked the part. Obviously, the competition will increase, and I think what made Cody Schrader so great is how consistently he kept the legs churning, and how it didn't matter what happened the play before. He was always a threat to break some tackles and turn a 4-yard gain into a 10-yard gain, and turn a 12-yard gain into a 25-yard gain. And so it's like, how much better can these running backs be as the course of a game and a season goes on? That remains to be seen. But the first impression was strong, and Greg, if they can run the ball, woof, this offense under Kirby Moore.
Can you imagine what that opens up down the field?
I know. Yeah, and in the second year in the offense, everybody should know the schemes. The offensive line is strong. Brady Cook now playing with confidence. I think that's the biggest thing, because I don't think he was playing with confidence, his first full year starting.
Even backup Drew Pine, Jared.
Yeah, there you go. we were more and well on his recovery as well. I think that running back is the key to unlocking this offense to, is it crazy to say, be a top 5, top 10 offense in the country? I mean, I think the talent is there.
They look really good.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got the two-headed running back is that's a good one. Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll.
Yeah,
coming.
I pulled a Neil Jones, not saying.
Oh no,
names.
Absolutely. For Appalachian State and was it Georgia State?
Georgia State, yep.
Really good running backs that have had good college careers. They come to Columbia, and we don't know how that's going to work with replacing an All-American. And that first game, they looked really good. Now again, It's the opponent.
Right.
We'll see. We'll
But
see.
also
what it's
Brady Cook's running ability. I think that helps. You can run those RPOs where the defense has to respect Cook's legs, and I think we see that both in Manhattan and Lawrence as well for Jalen Daniels, who didn't run in his season opener, which is as expected as he eases his way back in from injury. But I think the more Cook can run, the more then they have to come in, and then, boy, you keep working on those deep balls that they didn't necessarily hit in week one, but I think are there for Luther Burden, for Theo Weiss, for Mookie Cooper, Mekhi Miller.
Marquise Johnson.
Yep, Marquise Johnson.
Manning,
thank you.
yeah.
Yep, who looks like he's going to have quite a role too. So, it's early, but I'm drinking the Kool-Aid partly because last year they had this great season, but they kind of started a little bit slow. I mean, South Dakota wasn't a dominant win. Maybe the Memphis,
Middle Tennessee.
Thank you, Middle Tennessee. They all could have lost that one,
right?
And then of course Kansas State, they played really well, but that was back and forth. So the fact that they had such a dominant start, I think, is it's great. And also, Greg, shout out to the Mizzou fans. The atmosphere was great on Thursday. No,
yeah,
I wish for a season opener.
I wish I could recall who reported it, but I saw somewhere where that attendance was the most attended sports game that day across the country.
Really,
professional. Any sport, the Columbia faithful, 62,000 plus. Well, solid showing for a top 15 team that's now a top 10 team.
That's only because my slow pitch softball team wasn't playing. if we were playing that night, the masses would have come out in droves. But no, exciting time for Mizzou. They kick off 6 o'clock on Saturday. But also on Saturday, the United States men's national team also in Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park playing against Canada. So that's a cool event if you want to stay here in town.
And we're waiting to hear who the new coach is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And they're already here training. Christian Pulisic in town, Matt Turner. You also have Kansas State and Kansas both in action. Kansas.
Yeah. By the way, from a Mizzou fan, I will say Illinois selling out to face Kansas. That says a lot about the Kansas program right now.
And Illinois, I mean,
that's impressive.
And they're excited at Illinois, which kind of surprised me because I don't know if I share that same excitement. And Kansas State is at Tulane this Saturday, while Kansas at Illinois.
Little rematch for
thankfully
get
for K-State, Willie Fritz is no longer there. That'd be a much tougher game.
Right.
That K-State's lost to Tulane the year that if they don't lose that game, I think there's a world in which Kansas State makes the college football playoff that year.
Definitely could have.
I think
that shocked everyone, right?
Especially in hindsight now, knowing that Tulane was really good that year.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Desmond Moses, alma mater, shout out to Green Wave.
Won the Cotton Bowl that year?
Could be over.
The
was
Fiesta
that
Bowl?
USC?
Yeah.
It was a big bowl.
One of those bowls, yeah.
So shout out to local product Willie Fritz, who's now on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, Houston.
In the Big 12. So a lot of exciting time for sports. But, of course, the biggest event of all is tomorrow's Chiefs kickoff, and we will have lots of coverage here at KCTV5. Starting in the morning show with live reports, but also we'll be live at Arrowhead. Inside the stadium, I'll be with Marlia Campbell and Neil Jones, pending that security lets Neil Jones in the building. And then outside, we'll have Carolyn.
That's a big if.
That's a big if. So that's where, don't be surprised if you just see me and Marlia there. But we'll have reporters out in the parking lot having fun as well, and all across the city. And remember to, keep it here on KCT5, but also on our social channels, Facebook, YouTube, our app, our great digital team will keep you updated with what the town is talking about. And that's the Chiefs right now, and we're excited to bring it to you. So tomorrow's KC Sports Night stream will be live from Arrowhead, and then post-game coverage when you want to hear from Andy Reid, when you want to hear from Patrick Mahomes, head on over to the KC5.com website and the app and stream the full reaction because we'll have a real football game to break down. So, Greg, I'm excited. Thanks for hanging out with me today, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for the invite. I'll do it again.
All right. Let's see. With that, 6 o'clock, James Shields, salute, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at Arrowhead.